the first move and be the aggressor in this.
Okay, so you're thinking Brad's going to be the control, as we say.
Yeah, I think he's going to have inevitability in here.
Okay, so Brad pondered again.
Yeah.
And this time, though, he decided to shuffle, so he's going to get a fresh card off the top. Now that ponder should have been gone now there, and we're going to see an Evolving Wilds for Brad, and he just ships it back.
So he kept with the first ponder, and then shuffled on the second, and then he was playing on the Evolving Wilds. So
you usually don't see people go ponder, right? Because they already know what's coming.
Yeah.
Must have been a land or something that he wanted first, and then he didn't want the rest.
I guess like he knew that 2 of the cards he wanted because he got 1 off the ponder, 1 off the draw step, and then wanted to see 2 more deep on the ponder instead of cracking the Evolving Wilds to get rid of the top one that he didn't want.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Or maybe he drew the Evolving Wilds off the ponder.
I thought he played it first, but no, you're right, he didn't.
All right, we're going to see a Ratchet Bomb. This is game 1, so Brad is main decking Ratchet Bomb, and Dylan says no sir, and plays Mana Leak.
Yeah.
Brad's probably okay with that. He has much bigger batter spells to resolve than a Ratchet Bomb, although we can see why Dylan would want to counter it as his game plan is going to revolve around some spirit tokens here, at least in the early stages of this match.
I think Brad is, like you said, really happy to have the Mana Leak used on a spell like that. Eventually he is going to just, Day of Judgment at his opponent or just go over the top.
Yeah. Currently, he cannot Day of Judgment as he doesn't have the colored mana required, but he hasn't missed a land drop or anything yet, which is key to a deck like this.
Yeah. It's entirely possible that he's slow rolling the second white.
Yeah. All right, so Dylan's going to draw first blood here. He is going to attack for 2, and then he's just going to play out a Snapcaster Mage. This is presumably just, well, it's the only thing he can hit is a Ponder.
Yeah.
And we're going to see a Forbidden Alchemy from Brad. Now, he's basically just getting this in while he can, right? This can't be mana leaked at this point. There's not another land on the side for Dylan. There's nothing that costs blue that can interfere with this Snapcaster Mage.
Yeah, and presumably he
just wanted to resolve it. Is that?
Yeah, well, at the very least, like he should wait to find out what is being targeted by Snapcaster, and it was probably Ponder.
Well, it was the only thing.
Well, he could have targeted Mana Leaks and then like played a land, but like that's not something he's going to do.
Right, which is why he did it now.
Yeah, but like going for Forbidden Alchemy before the Ponder resolves seems a little bit loose because you're giving your opponent a little bit extra information here.
Yeah, but don't you like it? I mean, it ensures that it resolves.
Sure,
if his opponent goes land end my turn, then Brad's like, well, I'll Forbidden Alchemy, and now he opens it up to leak.
But like he knows his opponent isn't going to do that because he played Snapcaster main phase and like very clearly was going to go for the Ponder because he didn't have the 4th land, because if he had the 4th land... No, I'm saying that Dylan can have a Mana Leak in his hand. But he was going to play the Ponder with the
I see what you're
mana
saying.
that was up.
Right. So he was going to be left with 1 mana no matter what.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying.
I like the small thing that
sure.
is likely to not affect the match.
Is that a Ghost Quarter?
It is.
For Brad. So
yeah.
we do see... Oh, okay. We also have a Cavern of Souls on Dylan's side of the board that's naming Angel.
Is it off camera?
It is just off camera here.
Yeah. Yeah. And
so... Go ahead.
He also has a Vault of the Archangel, which is pretty tough with the spirit tokens. It makes them all into threats, and that like they push up your life total, and they also just trade off really well.
Yeah.
But Dylan doesn't have black mana yet, so he can't flash back the Lingering Souls, and he may have cards in his hand that he can't cast as a result.
Yeah. He also can't activate the Vault there.
Yeah. So we have a Ponder and a Shuffle here.
What do you think about the Oblivion Ring on the Snapcaster Mage? Fan? I mean, he's just reducing threats as quickly as he can here.
I think Brad has a plan here, and his plan is I want to survive. And he probably has some threats that he's going to start playing soon.
Okay.
Well, actually, that doesn't make sense with the Oblivion Ring. So maybe he actually just doesn't have gas and wants to make sure that he's going to survive like dead. 5 turns from now.
I mean, he has been able to keep Dylan's threat density down very low. So far, the sum of it's been these
Sun
2
Titan
things.
Here.
Wow, just runs a Sun Titan in there.
Well, he
see
played
a
a Cavern
of Souls,
yep.
naming Giant. We're going to get back the Ratchet Bomb. That can take out the tokens, or the spirit tokens. It's not going to do it right now. He can do it whenever he wants.
Yeah.
And we see a Restoration Angel come down just for value. It's just going to be a 3/4 flyer.
Yep.
Again, Dylan is trying to advance kind of the race plan here, right? Like he has his eye on killing Brad as quickly as possible, while Brad has his eye on making this game go as long as possible.
Yeah, and Dylan is going to have a hard time with that. You know, because Brad has the Ghost Quarter, he doesn't have to worry about the Vault killing off his Sun Titan.
Right.
And so, like, between Ratchet Bomb and Ghost Quarter Recursion, that Sun Titan is going to be a real problem for Dylan. I think we can see this with Dylan tanking. Did you see any of those cards? I think I saw there's a Snapcaster,
there's definitely a Doomblade.
A Doomblade?
Yep, for sure a Doomblade.
Was there an image in there too?
Do not know. It couldn't get anything back right now, but he could get a...
And we're still short on black mana here, right?
Yes, no black mana. Well, if it's a creature, but
true,
but not for
not for
what he
Doomblade,
wants.
and not for Lingering Souls flashback. And so I think we're pondering for some black mana. And it looks like we're going to get shuffle.
All right, so if you did have Image, would you make a Sun Titan? It trades off with his. It's a little fragile.
Right now, I think he really wants to get the Sun Titan off the board. But if you do have an Image, like, that's the backup plan if you don't draw a black source here.
Which he
didn't.
didn't.
He gets an island.
Another island, an upside down island.
So we
Very
have
rare.
Doomblade Island and one other card,
Yeah.
I think.
Yes. Another Snapcaster.
And
it is
yeah,
the Image
the
coming
Image.
down.
So
And
we get Sun Titan.
naming some Titan. He doesn't get anything back for it, but it just sort of
Yeah,
stalls out
it's a 6/6.
opposing Sun Titans.
And you know, if Brad has something targeted, it's gonna not be enough for Dylan. And if I'm Brad, I think I actually may hold back here if I don't have a way to get rid of the Image immediately.
I mean, that carries a big risk if Dylan's running Vapor Snags, like, right, where all of a sudden he takes like 11 damage or 10 damage or whatever.
And that is
6,
true.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11. It just feels like a risky play. I mean, you don't want to trade off your Sun Titan, though.
That is absolutely true.
That's
And
not
like, I guess
happy.
it depends on how much gas Brad has in his hand at this point.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see.
He's playing it a little close to the vest.
Yep. It's like he is considering shipping him in there, and he looks like he has, as he's going for something in his graveyard. You know, the thinking being that he's resolving the trigger here.
Yeah, he gets
he's just
back
going to get
Evolving
back
Wilds.
Yep.
So some value here.
Grindy.
I guess he really does want to flash back his Forbidden Alchemy.
Man down.
So they trade off, and by getting the Evolving Wilds, he gets to flash back the Alchemy, which he didn't have
Next
black
turn?
mana for. Yes, next turn. He didn't
Okay.
have black mana, he didn't have the 7th. He is playing black sources in his deck, right? One got a Plains.
He's playing Drowned Catacomb, Island, Isolated Chapel. He's not playing any swamps. Oh, no, there's a swamp.
And I guess he's Ghost Quartering for it?
Himself?
Yeah. So he floated
Does he have
mana
a
and
burial
Ghost
rights
Quartered.
here? Or, like, just get his Sun Titan back right now?
That might be it.
I mean...
That would make sense as a set of plays.
Because that would let him do it right now.
Yeah.
While Dylan is essentially tapped out. He's got the 1 mana up, but there's no counters.
He can
for
also
that.
just flash back Forbidden Alchemy.
Well,
right
that costs
here.
7, though.
Right, but he floated a mana from the land he Ghost Quartered.
Oh, okay. No, it's an Unburial Rights. So guess what? Sun Titan's back. I like that line of play. I mean, he's still doing fine on Lance. It's not like it crippled his mana base to do it.
Yep.
And he gets to do a lot more this turn as opposed to waiting around. He's going to get the Ratchet Bomb back.
And this
he's
way,
just
like,
gonna
he doesn't
pass.
have to worry about a mana leak or something along those lines, or negate. Because Dylan is tapped out when he does that. And so Dylan is once again...
And when he untaps, he's going to have enough mana to flash back anything. But if he wants, he can even flash back Forbidden Alchemy.
Yep.
All right, this is going to drop Brad to 10.
And so, is that another image from Dylan?
It is another image.
This
Where
is
have we seen this
better
before?
than the
Get
previous
back
image.
my image.
Yeah. Who's going to have
man.
more Titans?
Right,
this?
so I guess this is a risk when you're running up against somebody running images that they can run the same plan that you had.
I mean, it's a very dangerous part of this format. Phantasmal image, puts you at risk from playing your big cards.
That's why I just play Grizzlebrand.
And they cannot draw off of their image then.
They don't get cards.
Yeah. So, has Brad drawn gas?
Looks like he's got something to play here. So flashback and burial rights. What are we targeting?
Oh,
Worm coil engine. Okay, well that's good.
yeah.
Brad still definitely wants a way to target those images, though. That sure would be nice. He
Yeah.
needs to kill both of them.
That is
Killing one
true.
doesn't
Killing
get
one
him
is
too
not
far.
enough. Although he can attack his Sun Titan and presumably trade and then kill off the other one
Yeah.
with a targeted spell. That said, he doesn't really have very much in the way of targeted spells in his deck. He's got a Deadweight and 2 Oblivion rings, but that's about it.
Ooh. Deadweight would be sweet, though, because he could target one, attack with his thing, bring it back,
Yep, target the other.
target the other one, and be able to really either force Dylan to chump or get in for 6 and still have a blocker back. It's pretty nice, but it doesn't look like he has that. All right, so attack
So
with this.
attack, get back or Ghost Quarter. Looks like we had a double block of the images.
Oh, he does have a go for the throat.
Yeah. Huh.
Sweet.
Oh, yep. Sorry, 3 go for the throats. So that's the line that we were talking about. That
Exactly.
Brad can get Dylan to block and then kill off the other one and get rid of the image menace.
All right, on end step, we see Dylan flash in a second Restoration Angel, which is going to put quite a bit of pressure on Brad. Now, that Worm Coil engine is going to do some work. It's going to keep him at parity with those two.
That's true. Although again,
Restoration
like if
Angels.
Dylan draws a black source, he's going to be able to activate his vault. I think he's drawn one of his Sun Titans though, which if that is the case,
It
that's
is
going
a
to
Sun
be
Titan.
really, really rough for Brad.
That is an M11 promo Sun Titan. So he gets to go Sun Titan, image.
Yeah,
After attacking for 6, this is going to bring Brad to 4.
and unless Brad has a mana leak here, it's going to be really, really rough for him. Oh,
Oh, he just passed the turn back. I wonder what his other card is that he'd want to do that.
huh.
I mean, unless he doesn't. No, he doesn't have the second white source if that Cavernous Souls
Oh,
isn't
that's
on
true.
Giant.
Jeez.
He's having some mana
It's on
issues
Angel,
here.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
it is on Angel. So he actually just can't cast it. Cavernous Souls, interesting card. Fixes your mana, also
Sometimes it
unfixes you
doesn't.
sometimes, yeah.
Yep. So Brad attacks with the Worm Coil engine and then blows his Ratchet Bomb to make sure that the Snapcaster can't chump. So he's going to go back up to 10. Dylan's going to go to 14.
Another Evolving Wilds cracked for Brad. He's grinding it out,
Yeah.
He's gradually taking cards out of his library one at a time, but really he's under some pretty decent pressure in the air here.
Well, I mean, he's in a stable situation right now. I actually kind of like Brad's side of this a little bit better.
Really?
Yeah, I mean, so he's got the
mean-
Forbidden Alchemy in his graveyard. Worm Coil Engine's going to be very hard to deal with.
He's going to get no. So now Dylan gets the second white source or a black source because Brad decided to blow up.
Oh, that's going to be worse for.
Well, you wouldn't have done that,
Brad.
right? Why would you do that? Because it looks like Dylan cannot activate that currently.
Yeah.
Like it's just a colorless land as it sits. Sure, he might draw a black source, but I think you just let him have that chance.
Well, I think Brad is worried that if Dylan does draw a second black source, then he's going to be able to give his Angels lifelink and going to be able to.
I mean,
stay,
I can
stay in the
understand,
race, but
I mean, it's the same
trading,
board.
yeah.
Though. I don't like that play.
A single activation of the vault doesn't do enough here.
No, I mean, I don't think that Brad's reliably racing enough here. All right, we're going to see the Forbidden Alchemy flashback now. All right, so in Brad's hand, he's got Doomblade, 2 Snapcasters, and another Titan. And it looks like, I don't know what he just took from the
alchemy.
From the alchemy, but I mean, he's got 1 billion mana. All right, upkeep, we're going to Doomblade the Worm Coil Engine. So basically, this is putting the onus on Brad to try to counter it, which he really can't, and it's also meaning that he's not going to gain any life this turn, which is going to set up lethal for Dylan.
Yep.
So Brad now has to do something to either gain life, kill
one of the
an angel,
angels.
Yeah, or kill his opponent. But whoa, these are pretty sweet worm tokens. I mean, it's no Joey Pasco, but it's pretty awesome. Yeah.
Those are awesome.
Would attack with those. All right.
So Brad has...
Is that an Elish Norn?
Yes, it is.
Well, that matters.
Yes, it does.
That means he can get in for 10 here if it resolves.
Forbidden Alchemy. Well, he can't attack with the worm tokens because
oh yeah, right.
they just came in. But
which is what I was saying and then forgot immediately.
That does put Dylan in a bad spot if he plays it, but he doesn't. So he must have something else in his hand to deal with one of the angels.
Did he pass the turn back?
Yes, he did. Dylan is untapped for the turn.
Elish Norn seems pretty good. It reduces it to a 2-turn clock.
Well, so Elish Norn does reduce it to a 2-turn clock, but it also is vulnerable to Vapor Snag or removal or something along those lines.
Yes.
And if that happens, Brad's just dead. And so it looks like we've got a removal spell.
A Snapcaster Mage on the go for the throat. Kill one of your angels. Resolves?
Go to 1.
Yes, it does. All right, so he's going to be going to 1 unless he has another removal spell in hand.
And so if Brad gets if Dylan doesn't play a blocker, when Brad plays Elish Norn.
All right, what is this going to flash back here?
Looks like Snapcaster on
Doomblade
again.
Maybe
killing the lifelink worm.
Could be.
So Brad was in a position to untap, play Elish Norn, and attack for 14 exactly to kill Dylan.
Oh, was he really? 5, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14.
Yeah. But assuming the Snapcaster, is going to kill one of the worm tokens or kill one of the kill the Snapcaster, Brad's going to not be able to do that.
In fact, he's actually still dead on the crackback because now Brad's at 1 live. Now, so Dylan has to kill the lifelink worm.
That's correct.
Out of the 3 choices. It seems like the logical choice, though. So I would assume he will do that.
And I mean, like Brad's line makes sense. Like if he had just played Elish Norn, he would have died there because Dylan would have been able to Snapcaster Doomblade the Elish Norn and then attack for 6 in the air.
Right.
I think.
All right, so the Doomblade's exiled. I'm assuming it's on the stack, though.
Yep. Brad's just got the Elish Norn in hand.
Flashback another Forbidden Alchemy here.
Yeah.
Because he's just like
he needs to find like a negate or
a negate
or
a Doomblade.
Yeah.
Or go for the throat, I mean. Nope.
Of course, those are all cards that aren't in his deck.
Well, he has go for the throats, right?
Sure.
Yeah. 3 of them. So, but he didn't find one there, and even though he did an admirable job of setting up the one fell swoop win. Hey, back in the booth, I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. This is Joe Bono. He set up he set himself up to take down that game.
Yep.
He was patient. He made a couple of unorthodox plays. Like I didn't like the Ghost Quarter. I thought he should have just said, you know what? If the guy draws black mana, fair enough. It's not like we have fetch lands flying all over the place in this format. A lot of them come in to play tapped. Go for it. And then and I think he just sits tight and keeps him off of the black. It's 1/3 of the guy's deck, colors at least.
Yeah. So he didn't necessarily know at that point that his opponent was Esper. He might have thought that it was just a blue-white mid-range deck.
Well, no, his opponent was playing Archangel, Vault of the Archangel, which requires black to activate.
You're absolutely right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I agree. Like that was a little bit loose.
Mm-hmm. But he still managed to set up a game state where if there wasn't a Snapcaster Mage or a Doomblade in his opponent's hand, he goes, Elish Norn, by the way, you're dead.
Yep.
And I kind of like that because I think that he knew exactly what his opponent was going to do at each stage. Turns out it was the correct play for the most part. And he was working very hard to set up lethal, and it looked like Brad just had it kind of set up to go back the other way.
Yeah. No, it's a mark of one of the marks of a good Magic player is being able to think 2-3 turns ahead and be able to say, this is what the board state is going to look like when I win. How do I get to that board state? What are the steps that I need to take? Instead of just saying, oh, this is the card I drew for the turn, what is the optimal play for this turn? You really need to think about what is the optimal play for the next 3 turns, 5 turns, etc. Yeah,
and I think that Dylan did a good job as well of recognizing that he needed to get in for damage as fast as possible. I think he probably saw that Brad's plan is a little bigger than his. It's going to go a little more shenanigans, a little more value. He can get stuff off of like Unburial Rites, get it back again, Worm Coil Engine, let it die, Unburial Rites, get it back again, and just grind you out with these kind of big spells.
Yeah, it definitely became clear once Brad started discarding the things into his graveyard, once we saw the Unburial Rites.
Yes.
And once we saw the Sun Titans. And it might... Before that, Dylan might have just been saying, oh, this is some sort of mirror match where my opponent, just has a slow draw, and I'm just going to press the aggression and, put the pressure on him to do something.
Yeah, and it was kind of funny how it kind of fell in his lap of, by the way, you play Sun Titans with Phantasmal Images, so do I.
So do I.
All of a sudden he had 3 Sun Titans on the board, and Brad definitely got himself out of having 2, facing down 2, but he couldn't take care of 3 right away, at least.
He was a little bit behind there. So let's take a look at...
Does Brad have any gut shots? I wouldn't assume that he does, but it's possible.
No, he doesn't. So
because they'd be pretty sweet versus Image.
That's true. His removal package, so he's got 3 Day of Judgment, a Dead Weight, 3 Go for the Throat, 2 Ratchet Brahm, and 2 Oblivion Ring. He's got a Gideon Jura, which is potentially... Well, I guess it doesn't do a very good job of getting rid of images that are Sun Titans because it can't target them because they're vigilant.
They just basically never get tapped.
But if something else, like if a Worm Coil Engine gets copied, he can.
Well, so you mentioned Day of Judgment. We didn't get a chance to see that from Brad, but that would have changed the complexion of that game at any time. All right, we're back at the feature match area here, and it looks like Brad's just led with a Drowned Catacomb. Dylan's drawn his card for the turn and is going to play a Seachrome Coast into
Ponder.
Gitaxian Probe. All right, so we get a chance to take a look at Brad's hand here to start with, or theoretically. So, land, dissipate, go for the throat, negate, and an image.
Yep.
Not a ton of action, but it should be able to kind of carry him, to at least the middle part of the game where he can start getting advantage from things like, I don't know, from like his card draw spells and his card selection spells like Forbidden Alchemy, that kind of thing.
Yeah, and so Brad is going to need to rattle off some lands here. He really would like to see another blue source so that Dissipate is live.
Yeah.
And the fact that he's got a Cavern of Souls in his hand means that his long game is going to get there. When he goes to cast Sun Titan, it will resolve, and the question is like whether he gets that long game.
Yeah. Oh, Spellskite.
Spellskite off the top.
That's an interesting one. I don't know, what does that do here? It eats Doomblades from his big targets. It does block Snapcasters on the ground. It does not block Angels. It does not block tokens.
So it's going to block Blade Slicer tokens.
There you
which
go.
Which is nice, and it may just be like the primary purpose may be a 0/4 wall here.
Okay, not a lightning rod for Doomblades.
Yeah. Although I like that is very nice. Like the Doomblades, like they're still going to be able to get images. So if Dylan goes ahead and gets the Sun Titan first, then Brad is not going to be able to protect his image with the Spellskite.
Right. All right. So we see Cavern of Souls come down. It's naming Illusion.
Okay.
And he does not currently have access to Dissipate, which he would for sure play right here, I'm assuming, if he could.
Yeah.
Get that Lingering
Would
Souls
love to have
out of here.
rolled off the blue source so that he doesn't have to name with the Cavern immediately, and to be able to dissipate that Lingering Souls, which would have been very, very strong. So we had a flash of Dylan's hand, but didn't get to see very much of it.
All right, I see a Ponder for sure. I think I see a Go for the Throat as well. Awkward. Now, Spellskite cannot redirect that to itself, right?
That is correct. You
can target the ability,
Yep.
but it won't actually happen.
Yeah, so you can target any ability or any spell with the Spellskite, but it's only going to redirect it if Spellskite can be a valid target.
Okay, so like if it said destroy target land, that wouldn't work. And
Yeah.
in this case, since Go for the Throat says destroy target non-artifact creature, it also won't work.
That's true.
Okay.
And also, if it's a multi-targeted spell and one of the targets is already a Spellskite, you won't be able to redirect the other target to Spellskite.
Ah, okay.
So, for example, Arc Trail.
Okay. All right, I see for sure a Sun Titan in Dylan's hand.
Definitely
Which is
that Go
kind of
for the Throat.
important.
Snapcaster, Vault, Image.
Yep. Go for the Throat, and I couldn't see the other two. Got a pretty good view there.
So we've got a second Cavern, and that's on Giant, so the Sun Titan will come down unmolested if it ever makes it into Brad's hand.
Get in there for 2. So I'm assuming the second Cavern is on Giant, so it's Giant and Illusions.
And yes, so we're flashing back Lingering Souls. So here's a point where, Dylan not seeing the Day of Judgments in game 1 may have led him to overextend a little bit.
I see at least one in Brad's hand as well.
Yeah.
Now, he doesn't seem too far overextended here. I mean, this is a reasonable clock. If he doesn't cast any creatures here, like, he could just say, look, I'm going to kill you in 4 turns, do something about it, right? He's got place to suspend his mana. If he really wants to gain some life, he can spend it to just gain 4. I don't see that being super relevant here, but I mean, it's not like he's just punting his turns away here either.
No,
and he just passes it back very
patiently. I think Dylan can should be playing the waiting game here.
Yeah.
Like you said, he's got a good clock.
Okay, so you're Brad. Time to Day of Judgment. Is it apparent now that our opponent is deciding not to overextend into our day, and do we just have to pop it right there?
And I think Brad really wants to get one more mana so he has negate backup for the Day of Judgment.
Okay, so he wants to make sure that it resolves, but now he's taking another 4 damage in the meantime. Oh, and he has another play
so
anyway.
He's going to be able to Alchemy here, hopefully find another blue source. And is that being mana leaked? Dissipated?
Dissipated. Interesting. You don't see that every day.
So I like this. This is what I was saying. Brad wants to have the 6 source so that he has the negate backup. And is he playing the Illusion?
The Image?
Yeah. So he drew the 6th land, but unfortunately comes in and play tapped. And it looked like he was thinking about playing the Phantasmal Image just to trade with
one
of the spirit tokens.
I mean, I think that if he does that, it definitely looks desperate, and it might prompt Dylan to put more creatures on the board, but he decided that would be silly to waste an entire card just for that play, and he's just going to take it and go to 4 here.
Yeah, and so Brad is really in do or die time, and if Dylan has a Restoration Angel, which it looks like he might,
he does.
Brad's going to be in rough shape here.
So Day of
Judgment comes down. He's got the negate backup.
Snapcaster on Dissipate? Okay.
I'm not sure if I like this play.
You'd rather just...
I think I'd rather run out the Angel and the Snapcaster after the day resolves.
Because it is lethal.
Yeah.
Like just as 2 flash creatures, right?
Yeah, and sometimes you play Ambush Viper.
Yeah. All right, so negate, I'm assuming happens.
So, yeah, flashback, dissipate, negate comes. And, like, Dylan knew that Brad had the negate.
Yeah.
So unless there's another counterspell in his hand, this seems like a kind of counterproductive thing to do.
Yeah, and especially because it happens to be negate specifically, that I think that, Dylan can just play 2 of his creatures and say, well, look, you've got to have mana leak or something else because negate
I'm going
doesn't
to get this angel down. And so like he didn't get to play the angel at the end of Brad's turn, so now he's not presenting a clock here. His hand is still stacked. He is probably going to win this, but I think he had almost shut the door on Brad, and Brad now has some outs.
Yeah. You really got to slam it shut when the opportunity presents itself and think about, how can I win this turn?
Yeah, and how can I lose?
Yeah, that's another good one.
All right, so we see a Sun Titan come down. It's going to get back a Snapcaster.
Yeah, probably just going to get
Ponder,
a Ponder going.
Or we got a Probe.
I guess he's just going to probe. I mean, I would be curious. All right, so go for the throat, mana leak, dissipate, go for the throat, and an image.
So Brad only has 1 black source, so he can't go for the throat, both things, but he can get the Sun Titan.
He can image the Sun Titan and then go for the throat the other Sun Titan.
That's very true, yeah.
Get back the Spell Skite.
Yeah, so...
It's well within reason.
So image, getting back Spellskite, then go for the throat, the Sun Titan, then you've got 2 blockers for the Snapcaster Mage.
Which needs to get in twice anyway.
Yep. So Brad's not in awful shape here. Well, I mean, he's in pretty bad shape, but like...
He is, but he's definitely not, like he could have been just dead.
Yep.
Now I wouldn't tap that black mana source. Or what is he doing? Is he floating?
No, so he played the Drowned Catacombs tapped
it comes in
because he only has 2 planes for basic lands.
I thought he was tapping it for mana. Huh?
So we get image, then we get the Spellskite.
Now
and
Dylan's tapped out, so it's time to go for the throat right now.
That is
you're
absolutely
not going to
true.
give him any opportunity to untap. I mean, he could trade here. Like he's not facing lethal currently, but it feels like.
It seems riskier than it needs to be, especially since Dylan knows that you have the go for the throat. So, like, he shouldn't be making mistakes around that card.
Right. Well, let's see how Dylan handles this, because now if Brad goes for go for the throat, Dylan can flash in the Angel and save his Sun Titan.
That's absolutely true.
Go for the throat. So the trigger for the illusion goes on no matter what, resolve or not.
You cannot counter that.
Yeah, and in fact, the go for the throat gets countered.
Yep.
By the game. How do you like that? Richard Garfield just countered your go for the throat.
Very few things that can get past getting countered by the game.
I mean, if this thing gets dissipated, like...
Yeah, so we get the Restoration Angel.
He's got the leak for the Angel. Okay, so he had thought that through.
That's true.
So he knew that he could play around Angel there. I like it. That's way better, right? Because it baits him into getting the Angel in there where he can mana leak the Angel. Otherwise, he doesn't get a chance to mana leak the Angel.
It seems riskier than
it is very risky. Like Dylan, Brad is he's taking on a lot of risk.
Dylan only has 6 lands. But what if he draws the 7th land there?
Oh, you mean just to pay? No, yeah. I mean because he wants to go for the throat as well.
No, that's true. That's true. I guess I'm more risk-averse than Brad is.
I am too, but that really paid off for him. Like now, instead of just having a dead Sun Titan, Dylan has a dead Sun Titan and is not able to resolve the Angel.
Yeah. And I believe Mana Leak was one of the cards that the Gitaxian Probe saw.
Oh, I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't remember though. I'm not going to put like my final stamp on it, but I don't think that's the case.
Because I thought for the turn in question, Brad drew a Nihil Spellbomb, but maybe I'm wrong.
Dylan has a Nihil Spellbomb.
I think there's one in Brad's hand too.
I see what you're saying. Okay.
So we've got a lot of Blade Splicers coming in.
Why are all these Blade Splicers coming in? You just played 2 of them straight up?
Yeah, Dylan is unloading his hand. And, if Brad draws a Snapcaster or another Day of
Judgment. That is a huge play for Brad here.
Yeah.
Massive sweep. Whoa.
I think Dylan could potentially play that a little more conservatively.
He could have just played one of them.
Yeah. And then he has a 2-turn clock through the
Thought Scour himself.
Yep.
Wow. Brad is just hanging on here.
Yeah,
That second Day of Judgment was huge.
Dylan gave him an inch, and he's taken his mile.
Indeed.
All right, so we get a couple lands off the Thought Scour into the graveyard. Didn't get to see what he drew. So Dylan's definitely got planes in his hand. Another Thought Scour.
Himself again.
Snapcaster.
It's got to make him a little sad. Like, that's a pretty sweet card to have.
It's true. There's the planes.
Alchemy. It's funny how these
So
decks
much
have
searching.
some similarities, yet they're also very different in a lot of ways.
That's true. Brad has really one plan, and Dylan is able to. His deck is really able to shift back and forth, I think.
Yeah, a lot more. Like, Brad's is very much like, we're doing this.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Whereas, like with Dylan, we saw that he can have the aggro draw.
Yeah.
And like we didn't even see the aggroest of draws. We didn't see like the Blade Splicer into Resto Angel and just like getcha.
And I kind of like that about Dylan's because it does have the ability to go over the top with Sun Titans and Images, where a lot of these Esper mid-range decks just have just the straight value, but the biggest thing they can do is like a Restoration Angel.
Yep. So it looks like Dylan has a image in his hand.
But nothing to copy.
Nothing to
A
copy.
lonely image. And that is a Ratchet Bomb, actually. Okay.
Huh. I wonder if he's... I guess Brad is likely to just leave this at 0 for to be able to deal with any tokens that come up. I suppose he could go up to 1 to get the Nihil Spellbomb.
But all that really does is force him to pop
to blow it right away, yeah.
I see a Restoration Angel in Dylan's hand as well. He seems to have still more gas to go.
And yet
And
another
he just presented
Blade
lethal.
Slicer. Yeah.
Although the Ratchet Bomb can take out that token anytime.
And so Dylan looks like he's got 4 mana up at least, and so if he has the Restoration Angel in his hand, he can flash that in at the end of Brad's turn and present lethal even through the Ratchet Bomb. But
Delayed
he declines
lethal.
to do that, yeah. Which is fine. Like he's going to get more value off the Restoration Angel, and getting the 1 damage in from the Blade Slicer means that Angel will be
The
lethal at
Angel
any time.
and or the token.
Yeah.
That makes a lot of sense.
So.
All right, so Brad is kind of in, he needs to find something. And I guess the image is just going to hit that Splicer.
Yeah.
Now, go for the throat. Now, this is the second one that Dylan didn't know about. And that's going to leave the image with nothing to copy. It's going to be a 0/0, right?
That is true.
Now, the image is on the stack, by the way. This isn't, the way images work is they go on the stack, and if they resolve, then you choose, right?
That's correct.
Okay.
And when you go to choose, that doesn't go on the stack. It just happens.
Right. It's the old as it enters the battlefield.
Yeah. It replaces entering the battlefield with enter the battlefield as a copy of something.
Okay. So what's happened is like, for instance, if Dylan had a Snapcaster, he could Snapcaster here and then at least give himself something to copy, right?
Yeah. So if we were right that Dylan has a Restoration Angel in his hand, it seems
he does.
like
a very opportune
flash
time
it
to
in
do
right
that.
now.
Now it is going to put him in, not all in, but it's going to put a lot of his threats on the board at once, and it's going to mean that if Brad can get that last Day of Judgment, then, I think he only has 3, but if he does Day of Judgment, then Dylan is completely out of gas. But, we've already seen 2 from him. You just took away the ability to Snapcaster one of them back. It seems like the right play.
Yeah. And so we see that Dylan tries to draw a card, tries to draw an answer off the Nihil Spellbomb, misses, and
does not do the Angel trick?
Yeah, and so the Phantasmal Image
I mean, the
passes
Angel
away.
is lethal by itself,
That
so
is true.
he doesn't need more stuff, but
Well,
it feels like the line that we were talking about takes away the ability for Brad to have spot removal and have it matter.
Yeah. So that's the question that you're balancing. Do you want to play around spot removal? Do you want to play around Day of Judgment? Do you want to play around sorcery speed removal? Because having the Restoration Angel at the end of Brad's turn also means that he can dodge
Sorcery speed
Oblivion
doesn't
Ring.
matter. Yeah, Oblivion Ring, right.
And he may also just be playing around Mana Leak. Dylan only had 6 mana at that time.
So he could
available.
not resolve it if there was, and he already got burned on that this game.
That's true. So I think we did not have a shuffle there. Looks like he pondered into ponder, and he's going to look one deeper and probably shuffle. So we got a Doomblade and 2 lands on the top.
So dig, shuffle.
Yeah, that is not gas, Dylan says.
No.
Ship it.
Ship it back. Especially considering the fact that Brad has no graveyard now outside of Go for the Throat. Like, there's not going to be any Sun Titan imaging going on anytime soon.
That's true.
I mean, unless we see, like,
so
Forbidden Alchemy or
Brad
something.
had 1 image in his graveyard that he lost, and a Forbidden Alchemy, I think. So I like some value for Dylan off the Nihil Spellbomb, but not the ideal value that you want.
But it cycles, right?
Yeah.
So
No, I like it's a very relevant card, and it's awesome when you're able to actually like disrupt your opponent's Snapcastering or.
Yeah. Now, one thing I'm noticing here as well, Joe, is the clock.
Oh my.
Yeah, this game has taken a very long time, and Dylan's not going to be resolving the Angel this end step. He's going to wait again.
That's true.
So if Brad does pull this one out, he's going to have a lot of work to do in a very short amount of time.
And Brad is the one that does have to worry about the clock. Dylan has the deck that can go faster and have the aggro draw, and Brad is going to have to win this game and next game. And so he's walking a tightrope here that, he has to play really tight because, there's not much wiggle room in this game, and he has to play quickly because he's got to be able to finish out next game.
Yeah.
And that said, the Sun Titan chain does kill you very quickly, but you do have to get up to 6 mana.
Angel is going to meet with a Dissipate. Now, this is one of the downsides to waiting, right? It gives draw some... Oh, another Angel. Brad... it resolves. He does get a draw step here to try to get himself out of this. That Angel is lethal on its own as the board sits. 1 ponder to try to dig for an answer. That's probably the ideal card you want to have.
That's true. If you don't draw an answer, you would like to draw the ponder. So
I see a land and a land.
A white card. Looks like a shuffle? No.
I don't know what his other card in hand already is. Yeah, it might be.
Wow.
It is an Oblivion Ring. Wow.
Wow.
And so now Brad gets to 1 for 1. Yes, he did, because he didn't want to give Brad the draw step. Now, he could have done it during Brad's upkeep for a little bit of extra, make Brad use his mana on his turn stuff, but, I mean, essentially it was the same thing.
Yeah.
In this case. I mean, I would have
But, it seems like he was playing around the sorcery speed removal. He was playing around Wrath.
Yeah.
He was, or Day.
And he just let him Oblivion Ring that. That was weird.
Just keeps being this crack in the door, and Brad keeps saying, I'm still here.
Yeah, that's my foot in that.
Yeah.
Holding on.
I got my pinky in now.
Yeah. 1, 2. Did he just mill him with a Thought Scour?
Oh, geez.
I mean, I don't know how many cards are in his library, but remember, we did have a huge graveyard go away. It looks like he still has a decent amount, though.
Well, I think that Dylan thought that Brad keeping all 3 meant that there was at least one other good one there.
And he just milled away both lands.
But Brad had answer land.
Unbelievable.
So,
man, Brad Rutherford, everybody. just
running kind of good.
Yeah. All right, so now we see lethal again.
Yes. And this has just been the story of this match.
This game has been really insane. Okay, now Dylan, once again, is just going to say, I'm committing a whole bunch of stuff, and you're going to have to deal with all of these things. Not literally all, but most of these things to get out. And I think that that's probably going to do it. I mean, there is one more Day of Judgment floating around. Is this an image? It is an image that will keep him alive for at least another turn.
And it makes sense for Dylan to play out the image there because the image isn't a threat by itself, so you can't ration that out. And so you can't.
There's
play
another
around.
image in his hand, by the way.
Oh wow!
Let's do it again.
Wow! So many blade splicers, so many golems.
So now this board is instantly locked up again.
Yeah. And presumably we're going to see some golems crash in and then a phantasmal image.
I mean, either Golem for Dylan is lethal. So like those have to be blocked. Most likely just be traded off for the other Golem. So, you know, this is a spot where Dylan can consider attacking even with his Blade Splicer to get in a point of damage. I mean, he would trade that one off as well.
I think he's happy to. He might be happy to trade off the image, but keeping the Blade Splicer around so that you can image it, so that you can Resto Angel it, it probably has value.
That makes a lot of sense. All right, so double block, or block. First strike. Oh, what do we have? Oh, okay, so he's going to gain a little bit of life, but that doesn't actually change anything, right?
Nope.
They all have first strike. He just didn't have anything else to do with that particular piece of part of his mana, so he's going to activate his Vault of the Archangel, gain a little bit of life out of the deal, but still everything's just dying.
And that's actually a good sign for Brad, because he's like, oh, my opponent doesn't have much beyond that. But again, we see another image. Oh no, he didn't play the other image.
All right, so we're being told that that they have a 2-minute extension on this game. Now, this clock that we see is specific to them.
Okay.
But it doesn't factor in extensions that happen beyond the normal. So they will have a couple more minutes after this as well.
So we see the Restoration Angel, and it's going to go ahead and copy the Blade Splicer. But again, he's doing that.
All right, the time is updated to reflect the extension.
Yeah. So Dylan did that sorcery speed again.
He's going to attack.
All right, I think this is Brad.
That is usually means that the game's over from my experience, but it also
could mean Day of Judgment.
Day of Judgment, right? And it doesn't.
We see the handshake.
And Brad is going to extend the hand. We hear clapping from over in the feature match area. That was an insane game. All right, we're back. My name is Marshall Sutcliffe. This is Joe Bono. We are in Seattle for the StarCityGames.com Open Series.
Very nice turnout today. We had over 400 people.
Yeah, to play Standard.
Yeah, which is a lot for an area where there are only like 3 metropolises that can drive here.
Okay. Instead of like on the East Coast where you can get a whole.
And like within like 6 hours, there's only really like Portland and Vancouver and here.
Yeah.
So very happy with the turnout. A lot of good local players came out. Seeing some of them do well, some of them do less well, but awesome.
That was a sweet match.
Yeah, that was very exciting.
If you like grindy, control-y, 2-for-1-y matches, you must have been in heaven, because, I mean, how many times do we see things get built up, break it all down, build it back up, break it all down?
Black-red zombie decks, Black-red zombies with Birthing Pod versus Kenda Frame playing Blue-White Miracles. It's a take on Alexander Haynes' deck, actually.
Apparently Kendall mulled to 4.
Kendall's deck is super close to Haynes. It just has, Karn Liberated, a couple other things, so.
Yeah, actually able to play cards from Standard rather than just block.
Right. So Highborn Ghoul gets in there, dropping Kendall down to a ripe 18 life. Let's see what he finds. Black, red, green zombies, birthing pods.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's a green land there. Yeah, I guess for the birthing pods.
And down comes the messenger. He'll deliver a message to Kendall, and that message is take 2 damage. So.
Yeah, this is going to be rough for Kendall. I think mulliganing to 4 against an aggressive deck, I mean, he's going to have to hope for a miracle.
Right, but if there's one deck that can come out from it in Standard, it's the Miracle deck, right? You just draw perfectly. If this is a Terminus, for example, right?
Yeah.
All right, it wasn't, but...
I mean, it could have been, yeah.
I think Kendall still probably has, a little bit of time. If he hits Terminus on his next turn, or flashes back that Think Twice to hit Terminus on Glenn's turn, he'll be in okay shape. If he doesn't see a Terminus there, though, he's probably done for.
Yeah, he's already down to 9.
Yeah. And the zombie deck just hits so fast and so resilient.
And
Metamorph Messenger. Yeah, it is time for a Terminus. If there was ever a Terminus he needs, this would be it.
It needs to be there.
All right,
Not it.
Wasn't there. All right, if he has a land, he's got one more draw step.
Land, flashback, Think Twice, hope to hit a Terminus.
All right.
Kendall at 7.
All right, Glenn's just going to push all his guys into the red zone. There he is, pushing them in.
All right. What do you got? Oh, okay, this is...
Interesting. So he ups for the Snapcaster Mage.
Okay, so he's actually apparently not thinking the Terminus is there. Playing to a different line.
This drops it down to 1. I'm not sure I really like this line because the game's going to go long. Yeah, and A, you can die to any removal spell. B, the game is just going to go really long. It was a Terminus. That was the
I think it was
guard.
a Terminus as a top.
Oh, that is brutal. So the game's going to go really long, and Glenn's going to have an opportunity at some point to just draw Geralt's Messenger, right?
Yeah.
So
Wow.
I would have just went for the Terminus. You have to get lucky, but on a Mulda 4 against a beatdown deck, you have to get lucky anyway.
Yeah, that was pretty brutal. I mean, we're not even 2.5 minutes into the round.
Man, my grand interest might be cut short. Let's go to sideboards here. So,
all right.
So Kendall's sideboard has Phantasmal Image, Batterskull, Elish Norn, Timely Reinforcements, an extra card liberated to support his 1 main deck, 2 Celestial Purges, a Divine Offering, a Ratchet Bomb, a Volation Range, 2 Negates, Jace Memory Adept, and Torpor Orb. So he's just a lot of one-ofs, a lot of stuff to move around.
And a lot of options here. I mean, Phantasmal Image on a Messenger is great. Batterskull, nice way to mitigate some of that damage.
Those 2 Celestial Purges definitely coming in.
Absolutely,
those cards are huge.
Yeah.
Absolutely huge in this matchup.
Even he's got 2 Timely Reinforcements to just give himself some more time and chump blockers for all those zombies. Now, does Glenn have Blood Artist? He does.
Yeah,
okay.
He's got 4 Blood Artists.
That's become a zombie staple, I think, now. And so that will, having chump blockers against a Blood Artist isn't really as good as it would be if he didn't have the the Blood Artists, but it's still, it gives the zombie deck so much reach. Right. But I still think the Timely Reinforcements could come in just for the life gain, and the chump blockers can definitely be relevant if there aren't Blood Artists on stable. So there we are.
Okay.
So, I'm Joey Pasco here with Gavin Verhey.
Hey guys.
In the booth for SCG Seattle here.
Yeah, I'm not sure how good those Blood Artists actually are. It's kind of an interesting dance they play, because Kendall's main Wrath is Terminus. Now, granted, Glenn might not know this. They might think he's like an Esper deck or Delver deck or something, right? Like all he saw was Think Twice and Snapcaster Mage. So maybe he leaves the Blood Artists in here. But if we go to a game 3, I could definitely see the Artists coming out, because our artwork is not so good against Terminus. Now, Kendall's deck, some of the off-block cards that we didn't see in Alexander Haynes' deck, Karn Liberated, Gideon Jura, Day of Judgment, Mana Leak, Ponder,
which is huge.
Yeah, the Ponder is obviously the huge part when you're playing with a bunch of Miracles. The Miracles of note are Temporal Mastery, Entreat the Angels, and Terminus.
Yeah, does he play Devastation Tide? I don't see that one.
Yeah, there are no Devastation Tides. Those were devastating, but apparently only in block constructed. I don't see any here.
I've heard a lot of players, especially the ones who favor like the Athens Blue list, Dan Musser and Chris Cronenberger playing Devastation Tide in Legacy.
Yeah.
So I'm excited that to see that card cracking into that format, and we'll hopefully see some of that tomorrow. Maybe I don't know how much the Seattle scene likes the Athens Blue deck, but I certainly love it, and maybe we'll see that tomorrow. But
yeah, I was looking through coverage of the Star City Games Open last weekend, I think it was, and in Legacy there was one of those blue decks.
Yeah,
that was playing Devastation Tide.
It may have been Dan Musser, because Musser tends to play that Athens Blue list.
I think there was one that got 9th or something like that. It did very well in the Legacy
I think
portion.
Dan may have gotten 9th in Legacy too.
Yes, Seattle has a pretty large Legacy community actually, so it'll be exciting to see what people bring out tomorrow. A lot of people play very stock decks. A lot of people have their own decks that come out of the woodwork, so you're never really sure what you're going to get. All right, so here we are. We're into game 2. Plains leads off for the Miracles player, and Glenn has another 1-drop this game.
Is that a Gravecrawler?
It looks like the promo Gravecrawler.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Buy a box.
Nice and shiny.
Yeah.
Terminus, very effective against a Gravecrawler. I like Kendall's slightly in this matchup, but being behind a game is going to hurt, and the zombie deck is so explosive, especially if it resolves Birthing Pod.
All right, Gravecrawler number 2, yeah. Think Twice from Kendall.
All right, so Kendall Think Twice. Now, maybe he's looking for lands here. Often when you Think Twice early in the game as the Miracle deck, you just have to find your land drops, because normally you want to save your draw spells for your opponent's turn. All right, so there's the Timely Reinforcements. As Joey was saying, he brought them in.
He's got up to 24 here, and he's going to have some guys to get in the way of those zombies.
Right, now those Gravecrawlers do like to come back for more, so only be able to buy some damage instead of killing off some creatures permanently, but still a good place to be.
Yeah, I mean, Kendall has cast 2. Well, so is Glenn. I was going to say he's cast 2 spells. What are you looking for?
Are these guys playing for top 8? Do you know what the status of these guys are?
I'm not quite sure.
I'm pretty sure they're playing for top 8 too. So this is a really intense match for these 2 players. This tournament was huge, only 1 player short of being an extra round. So in the last round, everyone has to play.
So Glenn gets in or tries to get in with the Gravecrawlers. They each get blocked by some soldiers, and he follows up with Geralf's Messenger. Yep,
and delivers a message once again. But this time Kendall only drops down to the right life total of 20, so he's in pretty good shape. So he is leaving up 4 mana, so he can flash back that Think Twice, potentially at the end of turn, and maybe hit Terminus.
And they are indeed playing for top 8. Just
Yep.
confirmation there.
Yeah, this is exciting. So Perilous Mirror comes down for for Glenn. Now that's not a card we always see in the zombie decks, but it's pretty good when you're sacrificing everyone to kill with the Falconwrath Aristocrat. So there comes the Blood Artist. So he did leave them in, and here's the dance. So he's got the token, but he's still getting drained for 1. Flashing back, think twice. So there's a little bit of a tell there, and then he flashed it back after he blocked, because that really tells Glenn that Kendall might have Terminus in his deck.
Yeah.
And he's not just some random Delver deck, although the cat might be out of the bag on that one. I don't know how well acquainted these players are.
Right, they also may have been sitting near each other a lot all day, and I think
Right.
you happen to notice what other people around you are playing.
There's a classy Mirage Island to join all those new frame ones. All right, and there's Batterskull, so it's time to batter up Glenn.
Well, does Glenn even have good answers to Batterskull? Typically, Black does not.
Right, so he's got some Go for the Throats and some Tragic Slips, but Tragic Slip might be hard to get online. Go for the Throat will do the trick because it's a black token, not an artifact.
Right.
But he certainly doesn't have a ton of good options. I mean, if he Miracles a Bonfire, he could get it that way, but it's
he's gonna copy a Batterskull with Phyrexian Metamorph.
All right, well, that's an interesting way to do it. Now, I think that play is overall good for Kendall, just because it will still buy him time. He'll gain some life, and he can't attack this turn really profitably. But that certainly wasn't a bad play by Glenn.
Yeah, it's sort of like if I can't beat it, I'll join it. Like
Right.
I can't beat the Batterskull, I'll just make one of my own.
That's the motto of Phyrexian Metamorph.
Yeah.
So this game's starting to look a little good for Glendale here. Or, sorry.
Glendale,
Glendale.
that's the combination.
Well, I already figured it out. It's definitely looking good for one of the two. For Kendall, excuse me. If Kendall has a Terminus, I feel like he almost just puts the game away. I mean, he's got a grip of cards, and Glenn doesn't have a ton of options. On the flip side, if Glenn just draws Birthing Pod, Kendall could be in a rough world.
And looks like a moving Batterskull here.
Oh, interesting. So he moves it over to the Blood Artist. All right, so he drains Kendall for 1 off the Germ token, so that's a neat little synergy there.
Yeah.
Playing with Phyrexian Metamorph is always so interesting because you have to know how all of your opponent's cards work. You can't just be, how well do I know my own deck? What tricks can I use with my opponent's cards?
Yeah, we saw some interesting Metamorph interactions earlier, Jared and I doing commentary, where somebody, Phantasmal Image copied a Strangleroot Geist, and then the Geist died and eventually died again, and Metamorph copied the Phantasmal Image, so we're like looking at it as there's 2 Strangleroot Geists, but it was actually a copy of Phantasmal Image also, so when he tried to equip it with a sword,
no,
totally just killed his own guy.
That's really interesting. All right, so Kendall's Germ token dies. He'll drain for another point.
But gained some life there.
Right. And now would be a good time for Kendall to find a Terminus. He might already have one in his hand. I can't see his hand.
Yeah,
but he might just be searching for that second white mana.
Right, yeah.
So he's going to flash back that thing twice again, probably looking for a second white, if not a Terminus. Pretty sure he's looking for the second white.
And Kendall's drawn a lot of cards.
Yeah.
I mean, 4 just off of Think Twice.
Now, the thing is, he's still good to take a couple turns of beats, too,
Yeah.
if he needs to.
He's actually okay. I mean, and he could always just, there's a second white.
Right.
And,
And there's the Terminus.
Okay, so he's in real good shape.
Yeah, I see a bunch of good cards in his hand. He's got Ponder, all the gas he needs.
I mean, he can, even if he didn't have the Terminus, he can go ahead and pass the turn, return the Batterskull and replay it if he wants. If he were in that sort of situation where he needed to get a blocker down.
Right. All right, so yeah, so there's the Terminus.
But yeah.
Now, if I were Kendall, I might cast that Ponder here. But, okay, yeah, so I'm going to cast Ponder. I would have probably pondered before Terminus, just so you have more information.
Mm-hmm.
For example, you could set a Terminus up on the top of your library, and then, use a Think Twice if he has one in his hand.
Right, yeah, just for the extra information. I get what you're saying.
Yeah, but, still, really good position for Kendall right now. Now, Glenn still has his quote-unquote Batterskull, so we could return that and copy the Batterskull again, which is interesting. Gravecrawler comes back, so Glenn established another army. Kendall's going to be looking for another Terminus.
Wow, so pretty unreal recovery from a Terminus.
Yeah, well, those Gravecrawlers dying, Kendall's...
actually made it worse, yeah.
Yeah, Kendall's Townly Reinforcements actually worked against him a little bit there, because leaving those Gravecrawlers on the battlefield, a Gravecrawler in the yard is worth 2 in the bush, I guess, as it were. So let's see what happens now.
All right, so Glenn recovers with a Digraph Ghoul with 2 Gravecrawlers, and he does still have that Batterskull. Kendall untaps his 8 lands and Batterskull in play.
And I see a Temporal Manipulation in his hands. Or sorry, not
Temporal Mastery.
Temporal Mastery. The other one's like what, Time Walk from Portal or something like that.
something like that.
Time Warp from Portal, I think.
Right. It does sound like. Yeah, they all sound very similar since they do similar things.
Something with time and turns,
manipulation,
and, manipulating it or mastering it in some fashion.
Yeah, Time Warp from Portal.
Yeah. All right, so Glenn equips his makeshift Batterskull and gets in with Digraph Ghoul, but Celestial Purge will take that right out of the picture, and he's just going to be taking 4 off from those Gravecrawlers. Now, I don't know exactly what's in Kendall's hand. I might have actually purged away one of the Gravecrawlers. Because you take a little more, but those Gravecrawlers might be more difficult for you to deal with in the long term, especially if you're planning on using a Day of Judgment or something to recover.
Yeah, I mean, he could have had, there's the potential for Purge, Snapcaster Purge, and deal with both of those Gravecrawlers.
So
we know he plays 2 Snapcasters, so.
Looks like Kendall meant to return his Batterskull there, but forgot, wasn't able to. Okay, so Temporal Manipulation. He'll take another turn. Or sorry, Temporal Mastery.
Yeah.
Taking another turn. Draw a card. The old 7 mana, draw a card for free.
Yeah, and just a Ghost Quarter added to Kendall's side now. Wish I could see Kendall's hand. I did see a mana leak in there somewhere, but I feel like that. It's actually pretty weak.
So Kendall has plenty enough mana now to bounce the Batterskull and rebuy. So he's got the Batterskull ready to block, and Glenn can equip up his zombies, making it bigger, but Kendall's still gaining 4 life at every opportunity.
Yeah, Kendall right now at 19 life. Like all the work that Glenn is trying to do, and Kendall is at 19 life.
Right. Yeah, so Glenn serves in with his Gravecrawler, and I think Kendall, he'll just happily block, gain 4 life, not take any damage.
Yeah.
And Glenn's life total is also spiraling upward, but an Entreat the Angels at this point would be enough to kill him in 1 hit. So.
Yeah. It's not so scary when you've got, infinite 4/4s.
Okay, so Kendall mana leaks a Digraph Ghoul. He's obviously just wants to make sure no pressure gets on the board. I don't know if I would have mana leak that there, but I guess at this point in the game, you've got to kind of take what you can get.
Yeah, the mana, he's trying to get some value out of the mana leak, and there it was an opportunity to actually have it not be a dead card.
All right, so I think that's Temporal Manipulation right there.
Yeah, so he's setting it up so he can miracle a Temporal
I see an Island of
Mastery.
Manipulation. I might just shuffle those away. I didn't see what the 3rd card was, but it didn't look very exciting.
And maybe just land, Mastery, land.
Now, what he might not know about Glenn's deck is Glenn has 2 Falconwrath Aristocrats, and those will be a big issue if they land, because equipping Batterskull to that means Kendall can't block with his Batterskull. So, looks like Kendall keeps with the Ponder, and then he's going to recast Batterskull.
Replay Batterskull. Play a land, say go.
Kendall's certainly hitting all of his land drops, a little flooded, but that Miracle deck also wants access to as many lands as possible, too. I mean, when you entreat, you just want to treat your opponent to a whole flight of angels.
Slew of angels, yeah.
So the board state, 2 Gravecrawlers, and also Phyrexian Metamorph copying a Batterskull on one of them. Kendall has a lone Batterskull with a Germ token.
And this time he's going to block the naked Gravecrawler with his Batterskull and Germ.
All right.
And Glenn, so he's just going to negate the damage negate 4 of the damage from Glenn's Batterskull to Gravecrawler.
So Kendall ends up down 1 life. No big deal. Or down 2 life, rather.
Yeah, okay. I was wondering, I was trying to figure out why it was 1, but yeah.
So Glenn's got 3 Gravecrawlers now. 3rd one joins the fray. But still, a Terminus puts him in really good shape.
Temporal Mastery.
He might just be entreating the Angels right here, too, if he's got one in his hand for lethal.
Oh, wow, yeah, he could entreat.
Or I guess not for lethal, but, for like 2
lot,
Angels or so.
More than Glenn can probably handle.
So the extra turn means he can get in with that Batterskull, and Glenn's going to be taking some damage. Kendall will be gaining some life. Is that another Ghost Quarter?
I think so.
Yep.
What are his...
Yeah, they've got to be Ghost Quarters.
Yeah, that's the only thing that would look like that.
I was going to say, Moorland Haunt does not seem very good in this deck. So.
Not at all. I've got 2 Snapcaster Mages that could die.
Right. For 1 second, I thought it was Haunted Fengraf, but I was like, there's just no way.
Okay, so this is turn. This is his mastery turn.
All right.
So he did not have the entreat, and we knew that he, I think, had a land there, so it was not a miracle.
Yeah. I'm always. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, I'm just gonna say he is just hitting. He's so flooded.
Yeah, I'm always so aggressive with my ponders. If what I want isn't there, I'll just shuffle it away.
Yeah.
I think I would have definitely shuffled with that last ponder. All right, so Messenger comes down. He's going to nug Kendall for 2 life, but 27 life. Even though Kendall is bricking on most of his draw steps, so that gets dissipated. Even though he's bricking on most of his draw steps, he just has so much time available to him right now.
Yeah, and that's all the Miracle deck wants, because it's inevitable that there are going to be miracles on top.
Right, yeah, I mean, as soon as he finds an entreat, the game will just be locked up. And he's got 4 of them still hiding in his deck somewhere, assuming he didn't sideboard any out.
Yeah, and assuming there's not any in his hand, which I think is a pretty safe bet, because I think he would have cast it and then before taking his additional turn from Mastery.
Right. So, looks like Glenn puts the Batter Skull in front of a Gravecrawler, ends up down 2 more life, but this is not a race. Or, sorry, Kendall puts the Batter Skull in front of the Gravecrawler, but this is not a race that Glenn is very happy to play. All right, so he's going to replay the Gravecrawler out of the graveyard. All right, and there's a Tragic Slip on the Germ token, so Kendall might have to spend some time playing his Batter Skull again, but he'll happily return it right here.
He's only got like 15 lands in mind.
Right. Wow, he's ghost quartering himself to spin out his deck.
Yeah, and it's interesting he's doing that now when he could have done a shuffle kind of effect before. He knew that he was drawing another land on top.
Right. Yeah, I would have done that. I mean, I assume he drew that land, and I would have done it before he drew that land, but it seems like Kendall knows the trick. So there might have been something that wasn't a land in his top 3 cards. That's certainly possible. All right, so he draws. Still no Miracle, the forthcoming. It's Ponder. That is a good card right here.
Yeah. Ooh,
I think Timely Reinforcements, Temporal Manipulation.
Is that Torpor Orb? I believe it's a Torpor
Orb. Interesting.
Yeah, I guess just for the.
So he's got 1 Torpor Orb in the sideboard. Actually, that looks like just one of Elish Norn too. That would really deal some damage. Yeah, there it is.
Exactly. And he's just going to hard cast it.
All right, Elish Norn, do your worst, Glen Ray. Even worst case, that'll still take care of 2 of those Gravecrawlers, meaning doesn't have to worry about them at all next turn. And Glenn will have to recast them. Granted,
So he's going with Batter Skull here.
He just puts down the Batter Skull.
I mean, Batter Skull's been doing such a good job for him the whole game.
Right.
I guess he can decide, I'll wait until I can, I'll play the Elish Norn again, and then maybe get in for 6 with the Batter Skull.
Yeah, sure, and get rid of any blockers too.
Yeah.
I guess the Gravecrawler can't block actually, so never mind.
Right.
But not so good with cards after I started working at Wizards. All right, so
it's all that Kaijudo you've been practicing.
Yeah, got to be a Kaiju master. So Kendall will take 2 more here, but slowly but surely. All right, Gravecrawler again. And then a Diagraph Ghoul. Glenn was sitting on just a Dragon Skull Summon in his hand. So Kendall's got all the time. It's really just inevitability at this point. Temporal Manipulation. And then tap as much. Oh, I see what he's doing here. So he set up the Temporal Mastery so that he could play Elish Norn and take an extra turn. So that'll kill off Glenn's stuff.
All right, he's going to get in with the Batter Skull for 6.
Get in for 6. And then he'll take another turn and get him for 10. Now, granted, Glenn is still at like 35 life or something.
I'm trying to knock you back to 20.
Both players desperately trying to knock the other player below 20 life. All right, so Kendall draws his card.
It's a Mana Leak. And in for 10.
All right. Drops Glenn down to 25 life.
Is this the first time Glenn's life total has been less than Kendall's?
Yeah, that's funny. Kendall's sitting at 27, Glenn's sitting at 25.
It's amazing. Game 1 happened in less than 2.5 minutes. Game 2 has, including sideboarding, has now been, 19 minutes or 18 minutes?
And that just kind of goes to show you in this matchup how kind of deterministic it can be. The zombie deck can get out to a fast start, take control of the game. Kendall can set up a board position where he can buy time, and then it's so inevitable. I mean, Glenn is going through the motions here, but honestly, if I was Glenn, I guess I probably wouldn't concede, but in a couple turns, if the game is still going on, I might just concede because you want to make sure you have enough time for that 3rd game.
Absolutely.
We still have 25 minutes on the clock, but
So go for the throat deals with Elishnorn, and Kendall's like probably fine with that. It did kind of a lot of damage, even though Glenn's at 25.
I guess if Glenn draws Aristocrat, he's in pretty good position. There's some cards you can draw.
Yeah, I mean, there's some cards Kendall can draw too.
Yeah.
I just can't believe he hasn't seen them yet. How many extra cards has he drawn? He drew, 4 off of Think Twice, and at least 3 more off of Masteries, if you count those as, extra cards.
Right.
Also, he's pondered at least a couple of times, right?
Yep.
I mean, where are those Entreat the Angels?
Even shuffle those Library with Ghost Quarter off one of those ponders, right? So, all right, there's a Grave Crawler. And all right, more Grave Crawlers. We have a whole quadruple team out now.
A horde of Grave Crawlers.
Same thing happens. Both players gain some life. Okay. Kendall waiting in the wings, just trying to find that Entreat the Angels.
All right, returns Batter Skull.
All right,
Taps,
still no Entreat the Angels.
Still no Entreat. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, Batter Skull, surprise. Play a Seachrome Coast, pass back.
All right, Germ Token on the Batter Skull. And it's a Bonfire.
So
okay.
the guy that finds the miracle is the non-miracle
right. So Glenn finds one of his 2 Bonfires.
He's got to play around Mana Leak here. Right? Is he not gonna play around Mana Leak?
I just do it for Max.
Right.
You gotta kill that Batter Skull.
Mana Leak.
Mana Leak. But it's funny, Glenn probably brought in the Bonfires thinking that Kendall was playing Blue-White Delver.
Yeah, or something along those lines, right? Esper mid-range or something like that.
Because Bonfire's not really the card you want in this matchup.
It's basically just Fireball.
Okay, so once again, life total exchange happens. Some Grave Crawler goes to the graveyard. Glenn gains some life. Kendall gains some life. It's like Oprah for life points. Everyone gets some life. And we have Kendall sitting on 29, Glenn sitting on 39. This game is going crazy.
Attention players. We have
Kendall still no Entreat the Angels. I imagine I could see boarding one of them out, but I would still have 3 in my deck. So.
Yeah, I mean that's your primary win condition.
Please raise your hand and have a judge come collect it.
All right, Glenn draws his card.
For a black leather binder.
All right, in comes the 3 Grave Crawlers. Kendall blocks 1. Some more life exchange happens.
Yeah, I mean, it's not even that relevant to talk about what the life exchange is at this point. It's just it keeps happening every turn. Both players above 30 life right now.
I think basically what both players are looking for Kendall's looking for is Entreat the Angels.
Yeah.
And Glenn is looking for a sequence of plays probably with Birthing Pod and Falcon Wrath Aristocrat. That's how I can see him getting into this game. Especially if he manages to assemble Blood Artist Aristocrat at this point. He can just drain him. And, if Kendall continues to not draw anything relevant, he can just drain him out over a couple turns.
Yeah, it's kind of scary at this point. Okay, Kendall.
All right, there's Snapcaster Mage. Was that just a 4 value Snapcaster?
That's interesting. I guess does he just not have... I mean, couldn't he have just Terminus there? Snapcaster Terminus? He did play Terminus earlier, right? He has 1,000,000 mana.
I'm not sure what I missed. I don't understand. Oh, you know what? Doesn't have any come into play effects.
Oh,
Torpor
you're
Orb
right.
is on the board.
Torpor Orb. Actually,
I forgot about the one Torpor Orb hanging down there.
Chilling, right.
All it's done this game so far is make sure Kendall can't use a Snapcaster. Interesting.
This is so weird. It's actually a miracle that Kendall has not seen an Entreat the Angels.
Yeah, it's a miracle that he hasn't seen a miracle.
Yeah.
All right. So once again, the attack happens. I feel like we could have just played this turn on rewind on the coverage for about the past 5 minutes or 10 minutes, and it would have been fine.
Absolutely. I mean, there's a Snapcaster chilling there now.
Right.
I mean, is it going to just die to Doomblade now? Is that
worse than Ambush Viper?
Actually is.
Yeah, I bet Kendall's like, man, I wish that guy had Death Touch right now. All right. So, some more attacking. So at this point, I mean, you got to be thinking potentially about what might happen in Game 3. And we're going to see Glenn re-sideboard, probably take out those Bonfires, bring in some other things that are more effective against a Miracle-style deck. So that should be interesting.
mean, I'm worried if I'm Kendall. Obviously, Kendall doesn't know exactly what Glenn has, but like you said, the going into the Glenn can get back into the game. All this time that he's just drawing dead, Glenn could draw live.
Yeah, I mean, I think the only way Glenn can win is if he draws Falcon Death Aristocrat and
Birthing Pod, Blood Artist, some sort of shenanigans there. But I mean,
it's certainly not impossible. But man, the odds are not in his favor. Because if Kendall just, that'll take several turns, and if Kendall just finds an entreat, the game will be over. So I mean, unless Kendall sideboarded out multiple entreats.
Which then I'm wondering what he thinks what his win condition was.
Yeah, well, I mean, I could definitely see sideboarding out one. In fact, I'd probably sideboard one out. I could maybe see sideboarding out two, just because you want to be able to survive. But I mean, I can't imagine sideboarding out more than that.
Yeah.
Especially, I mean, if you're bringing in Elishnorn and Batterskull, and maybe a Karn or something, you have room to sideboard out entreats. But entreat is pretty good against zombies. You can just get like a 4/4 early on.
Yeah, I mean, you're gonna just brick wall them with just a 4/4.
Clock timer ticking down, 22 minutes. But they're in game two, so comfortable. I don't think either player should concede yet, but
it has now been over 25 minutes since game one ended.
Right. Another Plains by Kendall. He's got quite the mana going on here.
3, 4, 5, 6. They have 14 lands on the board.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. In good shape.
Unreal.
All right, another bonfire.
Glenn has now seen 2 of his miracles.
Yeah.
I mean, how many bonfires does he have?
Just 2.
Only 2. He's seen 100% of his miracles.
Glenn's seen 100% of his miracles. Kendall has not seen any entreats. All right, so once again, Mana Leak comes down.
Runs right into the Mana Leak again.
Yeah. Well, Glenn can pay for it this time, which he does.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize. I thought he had tapped out.
No. Yeah, Glenn pays for
Actually
it. But
played around it. Okay.
But that means he can't recast one of his grave crawlers this turn. About the best use Mana Leak's going to have. Now Kendall's empty-handed, so now would really be a good time for a miracle. Still no miracle, but he rebuys the Batterskull. We'll bring the Batterskull back down. So he finds Ghost Quarter. I might have
used the Ghost
Quarter. Is it crazy just to Ghost Quarter yourself right now?
No, because at this point you just stop drawing lands.
I mean, keeping Ghost Quarter means that you can do some things with Ponder, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, I guess you could save up for a post-Ponder shuffle kind of thing.
I guess you can always do it in your upkeep if you need to. But all right, so Kendall down to 15 now. He has been taking some damage.
Yeah, I mean, wow, under 20.
Sitting under 20. Kendall dropping down to 11 now. But, I mean, all right, so Kendall Ghost Quarters himself. Kendall at 11, Glenn at 53.
53.
Sitting on Doomblade and Swamp.
I mean, I really want to see Kendall win this because I want to see another game.
Yeah, this actually looks really interesting. What? All right,
Seachrome
Coast.
Seachrome Coast. Ah.
All right, so gets in with the Batterskull. We'll gain 4 life, go up to 15. Glenn gripping a Doomblade, which is no good against the Germ token. All right, so Glenn finds a swamp, gets in. Kendall gonna do some blocking. He just has so much mana now. He can block. I'm kind of interested in that he's not blocking the one with Batterskull on, or the fake Batterskull on it.
Yeah, at this point.
Because he gets enough mana to, all right, Temporal Mastery will take some extra time, gain some extra life. Because if you block the one with the Batterskull, he's got 8 extra mana every turn. Like 8 extra mana is nothing to him.
Yeah, he's doing nothing with it. Yeah, it's all just fallow mana.
And another Glacial Fortress. So Kendall will gain 8 life over that course of 2 turns and pass back. And yeah, I would really, maybe he figures out that he has to start blocking the Gravecrawler with the Batterskull on it. All right. Glenn draws, I think just another swamp. Attack. Oh, Glenn
again, not
doesn't block there,
I'm surprised.
But he's just taking more damage than he needs to take. Because if he blocks one that has the Batterskull on it,
he takes 6 games for, right? Yeah.
He's only taking 2 a turn.
Yeah.
And 8 mana is nothing. And if he draws Entreat, he's going to tap out for it, maybe. Or maybe not, but I mean, at that point, you're going to have all the angels, and you're going to be in fine condition.
Yeah.
Glenn looks through Kendall's graveyard.
I mean, Kendall's getting to the point where there's like 4 cards left in his library, and they're all in treat.
Yeah, this is crazy.
I mean, obviously, I'm kidding, but it's just
All right, so he
unbelievable.
draws a card. Another Glacial Fortress.
Unbelievable.
That's insane. This is just the opposite of a miracle. if there's ever a more ironic thing, it's the Miracle deck not drawing live ever. You know, I just can't find anything. All right, so Glenn taps some of his...
Kendall has cast 4 Temporal Mastery.
All right, so there's a Birthing Pod. Now, that's a big deal. Also, like, he hasn't found a Terminus, right?
He had that one in the beginning
one
of the
early
game.
on, but that was it. So Glenn plays Geralt's Messenger, sacks it. Here comes the Aristocrat.
Now, it's not doing anything when it comes into play
Right,
because of the Torpor Orb.
right. Maybe this is just all engineering on game state so that when Kendall draws a Miracle, it's actually exciting. You know, like when he
Yeah.
draws a Terminus this turn, the crowd will just go nuts. All right, so
If he draws another Glacial Fortress, I'll go nuts. I mean, he's got 4 there. I mean, the potential. I think he may have more chance. The way this is going, he's more likely to draw a 5th Glacial Fortress than the first in treat.
All right, so Kendall takes a bunch of damage. Now would be a really good time to find and entreat the Angels or Terminus. He's got, you know, probably between 5 and 7 live draws. I'm sure he's just
Return Batterskull.
yeah, returns
here.
Batterskull.
All right, what
Draws
is it?
card. Puts it into his hand. It's not a miracle. Is this it? I
What
mean,
has he got?
he can put the Batterskull onto that Falconwrath Aristocrat. This might be game if that's nothing. My mind is officially blown.
I need the.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Think twice. Okay.
Oh, it's a
Terminus.
miracle.
Yeah.
Thank God.
Think good. Yeah, seriously. Although, like, that was kind of just for dramatic effect. I kind of feel like he should have cast the Think Twice on his own turn. But
I mean, I don't care. He just hit a freaking Terminus.
now he's just gonna find a treat here. Like I said, he's just setting up so it'd be dramatic, right? He's like, I have to make it look close.
Unbelievable.
It's no fun if I don't make it look close. All right, so he rebuys the Metamorph, recasts it. Now it's a Batterskull, and Kendall will return his Batterskull in response, meaning that Metamorph comes into play and will have to copy Birthing Pod or Torpor Orb.
Right. Wow, that was a nice play by Kendall.
So, all right, so yeah, Glenn probably will copy Birthing Pod, but he's got 53 life, so
32 minutes since game 1 ended.
yeah. Now Kendall's gonna have a rough time in the 3rd game, winning in time actually.
I don't know. He'll just do like a turn 5 and treat Miracle and treat or something.
All right, still no entreat the Angels.
Well, not in treat. Did he did?
Okay, Tameo. All right, we're finally getting somewhere with the Planeswalker.
With non-lands.
Yeah, with not just cards that don't tap for mana. Okay, Ponder.
1, 2, 3. Ooh,
And
be careful.
Kendall playing really quickly now, just because he wants to make sure he can wrap up the game. There's a Gideon Jura.
He's gonna cast it.
Yeah. Okay, now I think he's just he's in such good shape right now. He's got Tameo, he's got Gideon Jura, he's got that Batterskull. Now it's just a matter of time, but he needs to wrap up the game quickly. There's 53 life to chew through, right? So an entreat would be really helpful in ending the game in short order. All right, so Glenn draws a Blood Artist. Passes the turn. All right, Kendall.
Kendall knows what's on top from the Ponder.
Right. Oh, so instead of attacking, Kendall just decides to off the Blood Artist, which I guess is the safe play.
So he goes and taps and kills it with Gideon.
But,
yeah.
I mean, I guess that's a safe play. You don't want him to like Birthing Pod into Aristocrat or something and Gravecrawler you out. Or I guess all the Gravecrawlers are on the bottom of his deck though, so it's going to be, I don't know. All right. So Kendall slowly chewing through Glenn's life. 14 minutes left in the round.
Was that a check for a miracle kind of thing on Glenn's side?
13, under 14 minutes, around 13:50. 1, 2. All right, here's another Blood Artist.
Number 2. Now he
Sure.
can Birthing Pod here if he wants to.
Right, he can pod into Aristocrat, which is kind of interesting. But the Aristocrat will just be tapped down by the Tameo. All right, so yeah, looks like he's cracking away the Blood Artist with a birthing pod.
So that's a little drain there. Not that I don't think it's going to be significant at all.
Yeah, Nuggy for 1. All right, and yeah, there's the Messenger, and then the Messenger will turn into a
Aristocrat, presumably.
into an
I mean,
Aristocrat.
what else does he have? I mean, he could get Metamorph. Copy Batterskull again. I mean,
Yeah, but
and Kendall is wise to that plan already.
Yeah.
Figured out he has all that mana to do that, to just return
Alright,
it.
so
He
now
does
he's
have
doing
one
that.
copy of Phyrexian Obliterator main. I don't know if that's.
All right, there's
So
the
goes
Aristocrat.
And he's got 2 Obliterators sideboard. Now I don't think he necessarily brought those in, but I wonder if he
All right.
pods up to. I wonder if he pods up to his Zealous Conscripts if he kept it. I don't know that is. I mean, he can potentially.
He could like steal Gideon or
steal-
something.
Yeah, but he
Or-
can't attack with Gideon. You know, like stealing Gideon, he can't like steal. Oh yeah, he could steal an attack. Right? Yeah.
The sick play is stealing Tamio and then ultimating her. She's like, let Kendall take it up for 2 more turns, and then
Yeah.
you're like, bam, ultimate Tamio.
Looks like Kendall decided he wants to draw some cards. Or did Tamio just take some damage?
No,
Is that what
the
Tamio
Aristocrat
took
attacked Tamio.
some- Oh, that's what it was. Okay.
Yeah.
I thought I missed something.
Yeah, the Aristocrat attacked Tamio.
Now he still wants to.
Now he's
some
gonna draw a
cards.
bunch of cards. He's just looking for that intrigue.
Yeah, he's like, I don't care if it's a miracle anymore. It's just got to be in my
It's
deck.
still not there. He draws a Plains and another Tamio, or he already had the Tamio, so whatever. You
Yeah.
can play that out. You can draw more cards, I guess. This is absurd.
He's
to
got to
me.
think twice in his hand. So
Just
is he just no? Okay, so he's Gideon says, "Come at me, bro." Tamio taps down the Aristocrat.
if aliens walked in this room right now, that might be less absurd than what's happening on camera with the Treat the Angels. I mean, unless Kendall just sideboarded them all out, but I just don't think that's the case. I can't imagine doing that.
I mean, if he did, was it an accident? Because it seems like he's clearly digging for the entreat.
Right. I mean,
Did he forget that he sided them out?
I could see boarding down to 2, but seriously, man.
This is pretty unbelievable.
All right, and the clock is ticking down so low. It is going to be rough for Kendall. I think Kendall will likely win this game,
Yeah,
but I think it'll be
mean,
rough for him to win the 3rd game in time. And these players can't afford to draw at this point.
There's so many things that are just kind of crazy variants in this game, in this match, and they're just kind of unbelievable. The fact that Game 1 ended in less than 2.5 minutes, and Game 2 has been going on since.
Yeah, seriously.
And yeah,
I'm glad I came back for this match. This is a good match to re-enter the booth for.
absolutely.
All right, so board state, Batterskull with the Germ Token, Tamio and Gideon versus Diagraph Ghoul, Gerald's Messenger, and 2 Birthing Pods. Falcon Wrath Aristocrat just got Celestial Purged. Kendall drawing off Think Twice.
He is having trouble lifting all those lands.
All right, plays a Snapcaster Mage. Torpor Orb is in play, so that Snapcaster Mage doesn't do anything besides be a bad Ambush Viper. Still no
Still no
Entreat the
entreat. Another
Angels.
Gideon. Not really helpful. Kendall at 15, Glenn at 45, if those life totals are correct. Gideon taking the brunt of the damage from last turn, but
We are
you
now
know,
officially below 10 minutes.
Kendall just trying to figure out. Okay, so he just killed that with the Gideon? Was that what that was?
Yep.
Killed the
Gideon,
Okay, so it was
Yeah, Gideon performed his finishing move.
yeah.
All right.
Glenn looks at his top card. Yeah, that's stays tapped, I think, from the Tamio.
Yep.
That ghoul, Diagraph Ghoul. So
All right.
and now here comes another Geralf's Messenger.
Another Messenger. No meshes delivered because of the Torpor Orb.
Yeah. It must be a national holiday or something, you know.
Right.
The
Gira
mail
was
that
just
day.
like, you know what? no messages today. We're safe. All right.
How many Think Twices has Kendall gone through? I think all 4.
He's thought so many times. By
Yeah,
now.
he's thought at least 8 times.
All right. Now we are officially below 9 minutes left in the round clock. This is absurd. If this game ended right now, they'd probably start with 5 minutes left to play. All right.
Okay,
so
he is throwing away the Gideon to.
kill his own Snapcaster Mage. Okay.
Wow, that was. I'm not sure.
Timely
Oh, yeah, he
reinforcements.
wants to do timely reinforcements.
Sure. You know what's awesome? 6 life and 3 guys.
And he can just replay Gideon and still have about 11 mana untapped.
And there's the Gideon.
Where did that Batter Skull go? Is it in his hand? Oh no, there's the Germ. Sorry, I'm like looking for Batter Skull. I totally didn't see Germ.
Right, there's the Germ with Batter Skull under it. All right. I mean, Kendall just needs to play as fast as possible. It's really important that he play as fast as possible if he wants to be able to win the next game.
He seems to be playing pretty fast. Yeah,
Glenn is, you know, I mean,
Glenn's going about average pace. Yeah.
They're both playing at reasonable pace, but the thing is, both of these players need to play a third game. These guys are playing for top 8. If you're just tuning in, these guys are playing for top 8. All right, there's Manic Vandal, and it's going to hit the Batter Skull unless Kendall returns it.
Yeah. Now.
Oh, actually, Torpor
do I
Orb
just
means
kill
it's not going to
Torpor Orb?
happen.
Yeah. I mean, I would just. Yeah, that's right. Torpor Orb
Yeah.
stops it from even happening. That's really
Manic Vandal, that's
really
one
bad.
artifact it can't hit. Yeah, it's Grey Ogre just entered the battlefield, ladies and gentlemen. The old 3-mana 2/2. So
Manic Vandal comes in and just has a change of heart.
So anyway,
I'm not going to kill anything.
these guys are playing for top 8s. A draw will not do it. So they have to win. They're going to go into game 3, assuming that we get
Terminus off the top.
All right, sure, Terminus. Get everything, and then Gideon can bash in for some damage.
That's the third Terminus of the game. If Kendall plays 10 Miracles in his deck, he's now seen 7 of them, and that's if he went down to 2 Entreats.
Right.
He's seen 4 Temporal Mastery, 3 Terminus.
All right, so Doomblade falls on Gideon there, knocking him out of the picture.
Kendall trying to figure out, is there a way I can protect the Gideon?
Nope.
I guess
And
not.
Gideon
Okay.
goes away. Yep. Now below 7 minutes in the round. This is madness. All right. Taps down a Birthing Pod with the Tameo. Replays Batter Skull using some of his bajillion mana.
And still has, he can still Cryptic Command, I think.
I mean, he's done everything. He's Ghost Quartered himself twice this game. He's just draws a mana leak.
What?
All right, so he attacks for 4. I mean, he can ultimate Tameo at this point, I guess. Like, that's probably what you want to do, so you can mana leak a bunch of times. But I would
Infinite mana.
Kendall, I would not be looking through your graveyard right now. All right, gets in for 4.
The tension here, this is just unbelievable.
This game has been pretty absurd. Oh, man. Where is it? Those angels are just not forthcoming.
There's a Blood Artist.
This is an alternate universal Gristlebrand 1. All right. Wait, what just happens?
Did Kendall just decide to scoop, or what?
I'm so confused right now.
I'm really confused. Can we get a... Yeah, we're going to find out what happened.
Did he just side out all of his Entreat the Angels?
I mean, is there any explanation for...
Why would you sign out all... I don't understand why you would sideboard out all of your Entreat the Angels. He got decked, there were no Entreats. That's insane.
So that was very anticlimactic.
I feel like I just got juked.
I
feel like
too.
I sat here watching a game for 35 minutes.
That was... Now I bet you change your mind about that whole, I'm glad I came back for this match, because I think we just got trolled.
I think we just got trolled hardcore. What? Oh man, he sideboarded out all of his Entreats. That's insane.
Did he ever? He must not. He must
didn't
have
have
sided